Hello, hello. May peace and blessings be with you. It is my pleasure today to be sitting down with Dr. Kelly Bohnhoff. She is the um, she is the CEO of One Sacred Family. She's also a healer, an author, and a mystic. I cannot explain how excited I am to be here with Dr. Kelly. She recently joined one of my programs, and it has been such a joy working with her. She came up with this beautiful process where she is able to keep the joy and bring the joy in creating content and doing all things marketing. And when she shared it with our community, I was like, we have to come out and share this with more people because so many people need to hear how to do this joyfully, because many of us are doing it, but very few of us, feel the joy while doing that. So, Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your process with us. We're going to start with letting you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what is your mission in life and why you're so passionate about it.
Thanks, Timmy. I am really excited to be here too. It's my first live stream, so I'm a little nervous. But what I would say is I grew up in a family where the energy was a little bit dicey. And so my whole life was kind of spent trying to figure out what's going on with my family. And so just a few years ago, I had an opportunity to have an idea, a different door that I walked through when I finally recognized that we're all energy. And I had lots of aha moments about how joy can actually help heal ourselves and our family. And so my mission is to guide traumatized families to transform fear into freedom worldwide. And so thankfully, I've gained a lot of information through the Dream, Believe launch program. And really just in the last 5 weeks, I brought that first foundational part into the world. And I am very excited to be a part of this journey with you, with your team, and with those that are part of the community of Dream, Believe launch right now.
The pleasure is all ours, I feel like. Okay, should we start with diving into the topic of the art of joyful marketing? Would you like to begin?
Let's do it. Yeah, okay. Let's do it.
So I'm going to share your slides that you have beautifully prepared for us. And let's begin. And if you want to let me know when to advance to the next slide, I will happily do that.
All right. So this is the art of joyful marketing. And as you can see, I'm in my vintage years. And so much of this technology was way beyond me. And I was a little hesitant about entering into the social media space and trying to navigate through that. But as I did, I created a strategy to maintain my joy. And so the energy of my life at this time is devoted to being divine love in action. When I hit the social media part of this, I noticed my joy went down a little bit. I was starting to get a little nervous. I couldn't figure out what the platforms were. And so I went outside and connected with nature. And I just sat for a while and I did some drawings and I really touched base with myself. And so this presentation is the outcome of what I learned, how I built the strategy, and how I use it pretty much every day now to build social media for One Sacred Family. So today you're going to discover how to use joyful marketing strategies to inspire and connect with your audience. I want to show you how ChatGPT was the AI actually is able to connect with me in a joyful way from my perspective. Of course, it is a dance. It is a collaboration. I don't just let AI kind of take me where it wants to go. I collaborate with AI, and that has been an actual joyful experience that I want to share with you. And then I just wanted to show you how I create 15-second and 30-second reels using Canva in one way and CapCut in the other way. And so you'll see through this strategy how I've created a more joyful experience. So let's take a look at the strategy. So the very first thing I had to do was to really sit and create the vision. What was the vision that was downloading intuitively into my new way of being? And so the vision is to guide 1 million families in the next 10 years as they transform fear into freedom worldwide. So one of the very first things I had to do was I had to understand what am I actually attempting to do? What am I envisioning to bring into the world and to really create seeds of social media that had to do with this particular vision? So what is the main purpose of my social media strategy? It's to help traumatized families transform fear into freedom through empowering messages of hope, healing, and transformation. So with that in mind, what is my target audience? Well, we know that families are made up of many constellations, combinations, and configurations of beautiful souls. And at this point, though, I'm going to focus on the family members, the parents, the primary caregivers that are over the age of 18. So those who will be engaging with the information are those that can make decisions about the ways they want their families and themselves to feel empowered. The next thing I had to do as a vintage person in my 60s was figure out what are all these platforms about and which ones did I feel most comfortable with. Well, I'll let you know right up front, I didn't feel comfortable with many of them. I had a Facebook feed that was personal to me, and I really enjoyed keeping up with family and friends. But the rest of this, Instagram and YouTube and TikTok, and even Podmatch, which is a beautiful place where I go and I'm connected to other podcasters to share and practice my vision, my speaking about what it is I want to bring into the world. These were the platforms that I realized after looking across many that I wanted to just approach first. So since I've just started with Timmy, again, all of this is new. So I've created social media across all platforms and I'm on podcasts. And I'm going to look at the dashboard or the information, the analytics around what I'm creating. And if I find that one of these platforms is more fun than others, is really more engaging for the audience than others, then I have no problem, moving in that direction. The bottom line is I don't know what's working because I've never done this before. So the very first decision I had to make was, what are the platforms I'm going to learn myself through Simplify One Thing? I'm going to get really good at them. I'm going to connect and collaborate with those particular platforms. Now my focus is more intentional, right? So I'm intending at this point, and then I'm attending and focusing on those. Then I'm taking inspired action. So that's a very, very important part of that. Pick a platform. It doesn't have to be these. It doesn't have to be this many. Just pick something that really resonates with you. So the content that I bring into this particular social media strategy are two things. So when I was a little girl, when things were getting heavy in my family, I would go outside. I lived in Texas in bare feet. I'd lay on my back and I'd look to the stars. And I realized as I came into age 57 was when I had my awakening, and I kept hearing, look to the stars, look to the stars. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Well, I realized that the stars were stillness, thankfulness, affirmation, reflection, and showing up. This is the methodology with which families are transforming fear into freedom. So I wrote a book that was published on Amazon and is through Audible in March of this year to kind of create a container for all this information that I had manifested, not just in my own personal life, but in my professional life as a registered nurse and trauma therapist with families for now almost 38 years. So this is how the strategy was created.
Wonderful. Kelly, Dr. Kelly, I feel like boiling down the ocean for us. This is amazing. Keep going.
So from the strategy, now we have what I call sacred containers of information. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about freedom. I'm talking about transforming fear into freedom through empowering messages of hope, healing, and transformation. And we do that in 3 ways. And the book talks about that. So the book is a roadmap to healing trauma, unlocking your hidden power of wisdom, resilience, and genius, and remembering what is sacred. So now I have the content roadmap that's going to allow me to only create social media that is within these sacred containers. So again, you notice that I'm creating a vision, I've created a strategy. Now the content will flow through these sacred containers. So when my mind starts to wonder and I'm, just throwing spaghetti against a wall, it's only if I'm starting to get edgy about this social media, it's only because I'm outside of these containers. My mind says, oh, I wonder if I can talk to families about this, that, or the other. So once I noticed I was getting kind of edgy and my joy was kind of dimming, I realized, oh, I was outside of these content containers. So I really encourage you to just kind of go from this vision to strategy to creating these containers, because they really help you then build the detail around what you want to do next. And so let me share with you what I did once I understood that these containers were what I was meant to fill.
Mhm. And Dr. Kelly, I'm so glad that you're not picking, because I think sometimes the challenge we have as multi-passionate human beings is that when people are talking about niching down, they feel very restricted in that, right? So I love the language that you're using around it. These are containers, right? And there can be multiple containers, but you're being very intentional about, which container you're going to invest your energy in and what is the purpose of that, right? Why it's connected to your overall vision, which is so fantastic. Even if we're throwing spaghetti at the wall at the beginning, it is
Right.
still very focused within those containers, and you're starting to see how it connects back to the overall vision, and then also helps you connect with the right audience, with the right people. So thank you for sharing this.
Right. And what in this process, again, my intention also was to create joy. So what I noticed is that when I was outside of this container, my joy went down. And one of my intentions is to always maintain a sense of joy in my life across every subject, and that includes social media.
Mhm. Yeah, one thing I have deeply thought about is that I need to make things fun, because I feel that technology can get people very overwhelmed and stressed out. So how can I make it fun? So whenever we're making mistakes, we're literally sometimes just laughing about it, that it happened. We can't believe sometimes, little things that slip through the cracks or something, and we are keeping it fun, keeping joy in everything that we do.
So at this point, I needed a little bit more of a map for these containers. So the very first download of the idea to build the foundation came through this idea of numerology and astrology to guide the daily affirmations to enhance the energy flow into freedom for families and daily life. So this is kind of a macro, to micro kind of idea. So I wanted to lift the family's energy through numerology and astrology. Would they know that these affirmations and mantras and inspiration are built around numerology and astrology, but it gives them the lift that they may not be aware of. So once I understood I'm going to go ahead and build the social media around numerology and astrology for families, I decided I had been introduced to CapCut, and I started messing with CapCut on my phone. And I realized I was having a great time picking videos and songs, and I liked recording my voice. I had done the audio for the book, and I realized I really enjoyed that medium. And so I decided to start with the type of media of a 15-second, 30-second, 5-minute spark of remembrance, a 15-minute video of education, and 15 to 30-minute guided meditations, which are now on YouTube. And I had done those a year ago. So all of this had kind of been in the backdrop, and it was waiting for me to kind of create this mind map, which has just been done really in the last 2 weeks, to help me understand, well, where did it all kind of finally land as everything was being orchestrated. So what I realized was I loved mixed media. I love creating reels. I love creating scripts. I love creating music that goes with things and the images. So for me, this type of media brought me joy. Now, for others, this media may not bring people joy. It may feel overwhelming. So I just encourage you to sit with yourself and look and see what's in your feed that you enjoy. Do you like the still photographs? Do you like Instagram with a little bit of words? Do you like maybe the beautiful, there's another one where it's just pictures, Pinterest, for instance. So just sit with yourself. Try not to look too much outside, like what everybody's using and all that. My encouragement to you is to sit with yourself, notice which platforms you love, notice the style of which things you enjoy, and then try a few things. Just try them and see what you like. For me, this is the type of media that spoke to my heart. Now, I did have to dig deep because I didn't understand any of this technology, so I really had to learn it. but even in the learning of all of it, I was having a good time. And from this, there was the lead magnet and this order bump language that kind of comes in, but the lead magnet is the hunt for joy. So joy seems to be the thing that I'm intuitively guiding families to first. And the hunt for joy is 7 days going through look to the stars of stillness, thankfulness, affirmations, reflection, and showing up, because the energy of families is very fragmented and it's very low in our world right now. And if we can just introduce a little bit of a higher vibrational energy where we slow it down a little bit, where everybody can kind of feel like, oh, can we breathe for a second without all the noise of the world, then that lift really does help as we hunt for joy, not just as individuals, but within the family unit. The other thing that's flowing through is the flow to freedom. So these first offerings really are very much in alignment with the sacred containers, alignment with the strategy, alignment with the overall vision. So again, everything is just really helping each layer to be more and more foundational. It just builds like a layered cake is kind of the way it feels to me, the recipe, if you will. So the other things that have come that are being built right now are a 7-module course called It's Glow Time. Now, this is a beautiful download that I have. As a little girl, I lost the glow. I lost my innate sense of self, my divinity, very, very young. And so what I always wondered in working with severely traumatized children is, where did the light in their eyes go? And so this course called It's Glow Time, how to, make sure that the light in your children's eyes is there for generations to come. So you can see that this continues to build into a 12-module course. Our families are on a hero's journey. We're all on a hero's journey. And then this leads to a circle of life community. So for the past year, I've been building a library of 250 resources for families, which includes games and exercises and assessments, that once they get a sense of, oh, let's start a little bit and then let's get into some flow and then let's, see a little course and then let's get into a membership where every month they have information they can put on the fridge or they can practice together as families. So what you're starting to notice, everyone, is this building of the layers. And so what the social media does is it helps to support the information that's being created in real time. So what are the platforms that I'm using to create? Now, this, again, came over time. This wasn't something I knew right away. I just had to get my feel for this. But what happened for me is I love Canva. I love CapCut. I love ChatGPT. I actually have a name for ChatGPT for me. Its name is Artie, for artificial intelligence. So I speak to Artie as if I'm speaking to you with love and devotion, because ChatGPT is a mirror, if you will, of my own joy. And so I want to reflect joy into ChatGPT because it is creating its own algorithm for joy in there. And then One Tech Coach. And this is the thing that really came in. So One Tech Coach, I do all my social media posting, the funnels, the webinars, the courses, the memberships. One of the key things about One Tech Coach, though, that really complements the rest of what I'm trying to do is the analytics themselves. So now that everything is being driven into one dashboard, I am literally able to see what is working and what isn't working in real time. And so One Tech Coach and Timmy's group, what they've done is they've helped to build a container around me that gives me joy so that I can continue my glow and I can continue to bring the seeds of joy into what is the noise of social media right now, where joy is not present. I get a chance to build those seeds in a very strategic and a very deliberate way. So these are how these platforms are being used to help bring the vision to life, 1 million families around the world in 10 years. So now what's the content machine? Now what do? We've got all this information. It feels good. My heart is still open. I'm having a good time. So now I got a plan. And so for me, I use calendars, videotaping, checklists, and I do this idea of creating in batches. So if I am creating 15-second reels on Canva for the month of December, I literally just did this, then I create as many reels on Canva in 15 seconds as I can in one sitting, because it gets faster as I go. And so I can show you a little bit about how I batch and do that. And what I've done within 2 weeks is create 6 weeks of content across 4 platforms. So right now I've got 489 separate social media engagements inside of One Tech that I created in a span of 2 weeks. And they're all at the level of joy, because whatever I create energetically is going out into the world. So I want those social media posts to be just infused with joy and creativity and inspiration.
Dr. Kelly, that is so impressive. I cannot believe that, so much content so quickly. And ever since you shared it with us, I also felt inspired. So anytime I'm at my desk and I'm doing one tutorial, I'm like, how about one more? Like, how about one other quick one that I could just record quickly and then have it available to be planned and scheduled later on, which is what, we're trying to get into also. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, so the flow is really, and we'll talk about that here, this idea of flow. So again, the very first thing I did, so this is the art of joyful marketing. We're going to look to the stars. My affirmation when I sit down to do marketing is, as I align with my heart, my genius flows with grace and ease. And what I want us all to remember is every one of us is a unique thread, a unique signature in the symphony, the note and a puzzle piece in this tapestry. And so your genius is so, so important. So to get in touch with your own genius and let it flow as we look to the stars is really important. What I notice is, at the beginning, I was looking outside myself for someone to tell me what's going to work and what isn't going to work, when actually it's not an outside in job. It's an inside out job. And so once I understood that, and I know thyself, which I do every day, I get to know myself a little more every day. Now I look to the stars with every subject of life. So the very first thing I would encourage you to do is to look at your vision. So start with the end in mind. What is your vision? And I notice when I talk to people, they're like, well, I think I want to, or I'm not sure. Really, this is the foundational part right here. What is your heart telling you that is your genius, that you're meant to bring into the world, and just glow, glow, glow all the way through, no matter which part of it you're working on, no matter which part of the business, in this case, social media. So always begin with the vision in mind. And if you need a minute to just sit with yourself and say, do I really understand what it is I want to do here? Then take a minute and do that, because everything else is built on this vision. Schedule a time in your week to show up for yourself and those who are waiting for your message. Remember, those who are waiting for your message are in the waiting room. And so if you don't schedule a time for yourself in your life with intention, attention, and inspired action, then your message will not get there. It just won't. And trying to effort your way into the message, that's not going to bring you a lot of joy either. So just schedule your time, honor your time, devote your time to yourself. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 minutes a day. Just know that you're going to show up 10 minutes a day and you're going to honor yourself and the message. People are waiting for your message. Then set the boundaries to let those you love know this is your time to share your genius with the world. And so I live with a husband, a beautiful husband of almost 40 years, and 4 animals, and I have grandchildren. And they know that when I put the sign on the door, genius at work, that I am in here in my joy creating, because I'm trying to get a message out. So please let your people know, your animals know, whatever it is, that you are in creative mode and you need a minute. And so set those boundaries and just know that it's okay to do that. You want to do that. And as an aside, when they notice that you're devoting your joy and genius to do something, that example actually inspires them to wonder, I wonder what my genius is, and I wonder how I'm supposed to ripple into the world. So just know that it's not a selfish thing. It's a self-honoring thing. So again, these are things that I've learned for myself along the way. So stillness, let's go here. So take 5 minutes before you even start creating and get still and check in with yourself and say, okay, let me take a deep breath. Am I in the flow of creativity? Is my intention to be in the flow with joy and ease before you ever start? And it may be that you have a wiggle in your energy and you're like, no, my mind is just not here right now. I can't be still, and do my to-do list. If it's not a to-do list, then you know you're going to come back the next day and you're going to spend your 10 minutes or whatever, and you're going to do it again. So you really have to make sure you're in this kind of stillness. Allow your mind, body, and spirit to align, balance, and connect in with itself. Light a candle, put on some music, do whatever feels good to you. And then set an intention to go with the flow without any expectations, assumptions, or insistence on the timing. Now, I want you to reflect, if you can, on a time in your childhood where you went to play just for fun. You know, my family and I, it rained a lot in Texas and the streets would flood and we would do stick races. And we lost track of time. We were soaking wet. It was warm. It was wonderful. And so what you're trying to do is you're trying to tap in to this flow of creativity, right? And so you want to set the intention to go with the flow, no expectation, assumption, or insistence on the timing. And this is one of the most difficult turns that we can take right here because there's a lot of noise about expectation, assumption, and timing. So just allow that to be noise, go back into alignment and the stillness. All right. Next, what I do is I spend just a minute on thankfulness. Call in any guidance that you feel might be helpful to tap into that intuition, inspiration, imagination. Sometimes when we're little, if we're living in some heavy energy, we lose our sense of imagination. So for me, as part of my own process, I had to bring my imagination online. And so social media is actually allowing my inner child to have the freedom to create now in safety, in security. And I love this for my inner child. And so I want her to have this freedom. So I also thank anyone else that's helped me and inspired me along the way. I thank Timmy quite a bit in my prayers. And I also acknowledge and appreciate my own mind, body, and spirit for being healthy enough, you know, to be able to be present in this moment. Because I'll tell you, it was just a few years ago that I lived in a state of absolute agony, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And so this version of Kelly did not exist that long ago. And so I am so thankful to have this present moment with all of you, to let you know that it is a gift. Every moment is such a gift. So I take a moment to be thankful.
Dr. Kelly, I'm thankful for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So the next part of our Look to the Stars journey is affirmations. And I really believe in these. It's really helpful to get the mindset in place. And so create an affirmation for yourself before you start. And I've given you a couple to start with, but please feel free to write your own. So for me, an example would be, I approach marketing with creativity and joy, sharing my passion with authenticity and ease, right? So we're just bringing that flow in. We're letting our human mind know, hey, this is going to be easy. It's going to be flowy. It's going to be fun. And then another affirmation, every post I create is an opportunity to connect, inspire, and uplift others while I grow my business and sharing my vision. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. I can grow the business and inspire and connect and collaborate. And so these affirmations were a powerful part of the art of joyful marketing. The next thing I do as part of this methodology is I reflect. So I reflect to deepen the experience of joyful marketing. So a couple of reflections I have is, and I do this in what's called compassionate witnessing or curiosity language. So it's, I wonder, or how does sharing my vision through marketing connect me to others? And in what way does it bring me joy? So you can see that we're just being curious about it. The other is, what aspects of my vision light me up the most? Right? What's exciting? What's exciting for me is imagining a world where childhood adversity is no longer a way of life anywhere. I get excited about that. I get real excited. So that lights me up. And how can I let the excitement shine through my marketing efforts? So you guys are getting a sense of my energy, a sense of my glow, right? So I want to build something inside the social media where if they don't see my face, but just hear my voice or just read the words of an inspiring particular quote or something, that they can feel the creativity with which it was created. right? And so what is lighting you up about your vision, and how does it translate into your marketing? That energy translates.
Mhm.
So the last thing I do is I show up in 4 important ways. And this is, again, part of my own personal, professional, and kind of mystical experiences that I've had so far. The first is I have to show up for myself. I've got to put the oxygen mask on myself. I've got to fill my own vibration as divine love and action up first. And it's in the overflow, right? It's in the overflow. And so for myself, how can I honor my own creativity and joy today as I share my vision through marketing? So the very first thing I do is just make sure that I am in that beautiful state of energy that's going to allow my intention to move freely. The second is for my family. How do I show up for my family? In what way can my work inspire and support my family? Helping them to see the value of following their own genius. I talked about this earlier. So in just being who we are authentically and creating in joy, they're going to pick up on that. So I think of individuals and families as this beautiful Wi-Fi, hotspot. So if I'm a Wi-Fi hotspot of divine love, no matter what I'm doing, then they're going to be, without me saying a word about it, they're going to look around and go, what is she doing? Usually it's, what is she smoking? What is she drinking? What kind of food is she eating? That kind of stuff. But after a while, they realize I'm not doing any of that anymore. And the only thing that's coming is just this beautiful divine love and action, which is who I am authentically. So now it's very natural. Who else do I want to show up for? Humanity, right? How does my vision serve others? And how can I create content that uplifts and brings value to the wider community? So I show up for myself, my family, humanity, and then my beloved natural world, right? So how can I create in harmony with nature? Remembering to take mindful breaks and stay grounded as I share my vision with the world. And I will tell you that one of the most powerfully healing things that I did, even as a scientist, even as a nurse, I didn't really believe it, in the mystical until I had the experience, but I was healed by laying literally on the ground. By grounding, I was able to heal my pain with the natural world. And so I bring the natural world in a way that I show up every day. And so this is the look to the stars method that I use every day. And it goes much faster as you practice it. Look to the stars, STARS. And I just spend 5 minutes moving through that before I do any social media. And what it does is it sets me into a flow state of creativity that is coming from, this beautiful infinite intelligence, pure love and sacred energy that I already am. I'm just becoming the vessel through which these messages can move into the world with joy.
Dr. Kelly, I love it. So I am also really big on affirmations and reflections, because I think that is such an integral part of me just continuing to feed myself and keep going, right? So one of my daily affirmations is that I am helpful. I uplift others. And when I say that, I show up like that. One of the other ones I also added was I'm a blessing. And I feel like when I feel like a blessing, I show up as a blessing. And doing the daily reflection and not to beat myself up about what didn't go right. It's really to figure out, am I aligned? Am I still showing up, and am I aligned with my vision? And how can I show up even more powerfully? Because every single thing, I absolutely believe that our energy connects with people way more than our messages and way more than what even we say, right? I feel like words are important, but our energy reaches people first. They say yes to that first before they even, figure out like how we're going to be able to help them and all that. So I'm so glad that, you're using that every day to create content. I want to jump ahead to the calendar that you use for creating your vision, if that's okay. Because I think that's a powerful visual for people to see like how you function.
So I went into, Canva, and I just took one of their templates that I liked, and I created, again, you can see the vision is right here on the calendar. right? So there's a lot of content types here that I can create. I chose to create affirmations. Here comes the reels on the 18th. So just on November 18th, it wasn't that long ago, was when the funnel for the Hunt for Joy and my website was migrated into One Tech Coach. So Thanksgiving just happened yesterday. So for me to have been able to move all this material from Joy into One Tech Coach, and it's now flying out, into the universe for families to find whenever, they're ready. This is just a tool that I used. And so you notice that it's color coded. I like it. I put a little turkey on here because it makes me smile. And then I have some notes about, well, what were the things on the 18th that I wanted to get into the world? Because the YouTube channel also went live on my father's 81st birthday. And this was powerful for us as a family because we are here to heal trauma and lock our hidden power, remember what is sacred. And my father and I have danced through a lot of healing. And so it was so beautiful that the timing ended up being for the channel itself to come in on his birthday. And so I just love this particular tool. I went ahead and made it for December. I'm moving into January now. And so what we're going to do is use the analytics to see what is it exactly that all that green right there going to Mexico to relax a little bit. And so what that means is all of that material is going to be out there in the world doing its thing while I am resting in the ocean, floating in the ocean, right? So I do plan and make sure I have balance in my life. And then one of the next major markers here is the first of the year. So the goal is to get the circle of life and other things up and running. The other thing is I did, because I am vintage, is I don't have the best possible memory. So I'm moving a lot of stuff through. So I created a checklist. So did I create it? Did I get the thumbnail in? This is for YouTube channel kind of stuff. And OTC is One Tech Coach. So did I get it into the actual social media area and schedule it? So because there was so much going on, I have multiple checklists across the kind of medium that I am using. And these have been inspirational for me to be able to see that I'm checking things off. And by the way, I call them to-do lists, not to-do lists. So every time I ta-da, got another one done, man, I am celebrating. So just know that I don't work in the to-do list anymore. I learned that particular part of the energy for myself as the energy of workaholism. I understand that well. My choice now is to work in ta-da. And so I encourage you to celebrate what it is you're actually doing. So as you look back, you go, oh, my goodness, things were moving so fast. I had no idea I was creating this much joy. And all this material is now up and loaded in One Tech Coach. And now I can move on to the next thing I want to create. So let's very kind of quickly, the rest of these slides are kind of about how do I create the social media. So I select a topic. This happens to be family inspiration. I was guided to inspire families. I would go to Canva first to create the little 15-second reel. I'd select a reel that spoke to me. I would edit the reel. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I'd add the music and I'd make sure it was about families. I'd export that particular Canva file to my computer. And then I would lift it into ChatGPT, because the inspired quote or whatever, you'll see how I actually use ChatGPT or Artie as my collaborator to create 4 social media posts very, very quickly. And then I just schedule it into One Tech Coach.
Yep. Dr. Kelly, this slide is going to help so many people because it shows them the steps, the process that you're following. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. So really simply, you're going to select the reel style. Just go into Canva, 15-second reel, just put Instagram reel in there. And I noticed there was a lot that I liked. And so I chose one. And then I selected the video that I liked. And this particular quote was to inspire about gratitude. So I pick the video, 15-second video. I put my little inspiration in there. And then I add the text and music, right? So this particular model right here that I used is, so for the face in this green particular area for the, but what I was changing was the video behind it. I'm changing the text and the video behind it, but I'm using the same template. So the way that this gets speeded up in batches is select a template you really like, then go in and you've got inspiration or mantra or gentle reminder, whatever you want to do. And all you're doing is changing that text, changing the video behind it. And for me, I add music from my own computer. And what's important about this for YouTube, because I'm translating it into YouTube, is there are specific requirements for music and the licensing of music. And so what I decided to do is I just went to Epidemic Sounds, very cost effective. I found 15 particular pieces of music that I loved. And, you know, that's the inspiration music, that's the mantra music, that's the gentle reminder music. Downloaded them to my computer. And now it's all I use, because I know that I don't have to worry across platforms about music licensing when I do that. And so you can see in this slide number 3, I'm kind of downloading my own music library into this particular reel. And so that makes it simple. So now all those reels for inspiration, daily inspiration, have the same music. All I'm changing is the actual text and the video behind it. So you just don't forget to save, upload on your social media platform. And then is when the next step comes for ChatGPT, or ARTI, as it were. So the very first thing, I've given you my exact example for that exact reel. So I started with a clear prompt, which you can read, created an inspiration reel. So I'm speaking to the ChatGPT as if I am having a conversation. This is what I did. Here's the actual inspiration. Cultivate the thankfulness. Please create social media posts for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and 150-character TikTok with emojis and hashtags, a call to action. Here is my one sacred family, and please provide 3 YouTube titles. Now, this took me a while to get this particular prompts the way I wanted them, because again, it's dependent on my own social media platforms and what I wanted. But the minute that I figured out how to do this and provided clear instructions, then I can sit back and ChatGPT is like, right on, let's do it. And so once I hit enter, you'll see the exact Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube posts that came forward. So we'll look at that in a minute, but let ChatGPT do the work. Once you allow it to do the work, you read through it to see if it's still feeling heart-centered, if it's speaking in your language, if it's reflecting something weird, if a hashtag got in there you didn't really want. So you adjust the tone, the length, the visuals to suit your audience. So I added hashtags, and then it helped me to create titles that I could choose for the YouTube video. And that depends on my intuitive, thought at the moment. So I just allow ChatGPT to guide me, but in the end, it's my own heart-centered intuition that solidifies this. And then you just make sure the call to action is there, encourage a comment or question. This is very important, and that it creates engagement. And then before I start, add the social media anywhere, I look to the stars again, because I want to make sure that I am in joy with the AI, because we are in collaboration. I look to the stars, and then I go to the next step. So these are the literal Facebook posts that were created by ARTI for Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Now, what you notice here is they're beautifully done with the emojis. They've got the hashtags I want. They're not identical posts. I have been in this relationship with ARTI where I'm like, I don't want the posts to be identical. I want them to have their own slight variation. So it has learned what I prefer. And as far as the TikTok 150 characters, I had to learn this the hard way too, is that inside of One Tech Coach, it's 150 characters for my personal TikTok groove. And so I had to figure out what is the 150 character TikTok, and can I still create an energetic imprint with 150 characters? So again, this was refinement, but I want you to know that you can use these steps very easily to create this content and still feel authentic in ensuring it is still your vision, your language, your hashtags, your emojis, but it takes so much of this. How do I write it? And it's a different platform and all that. This was created, all 4 were created in less than 2 minutes. So imagine then, as you're working with it, I created 31 15-second reels using this model for December in 2 hours using this exact model. And so whatever you feel about AI, I want you to know that's an important part of this, because people get a little nervous about it and people feel like they may be judged for using AI, or that's not authentic, or whatever that is. You will come to that relationship and your heart however you want to. But one of the reasons you may have a wiggle in your energy is you're not sure about your relationship to AI yet. You're not sure what it feels like to you yet. So my encouragement to you is to sit down with AI and figure out, what is my relationship? Do I want to use it or not? Because otherwise it can suck the joy right out of you if you don't know and understand how to use it as a tool, as a collaborator, to bring the message into the world. And I will tell you that if Artie was not a part of my team, there would not be a way for me to reach authentically 1 million families in the next 10 years. So Artie came to me as I asked for more intuition around how can I create with authenticity and integrity. And what the download for me was, artificial intelligence can collaborate depending on your intention, your relationship with it, and through inspired action. So I am building an algorithm of joy within ChatGPT, and ChatGPT reflects that joy back to me, which I create social media and get into the world. So for me, this is how I have navigated that journey.
Dr. Kelly, I love this so much. And thank you for this insight that, we're creating in collaboration, right? So I heavily use ChatGPT as a brainstorming partner because I absolutely love the diversity of ideas that it brings back based on what I feed it. So it's like a beautiful loop that we go in to have that brainstorming session. And sometimes it just feels surreal. ChatGPT makes me cry sometimes. Like, it's so good.
Yes.
It has
It
a really good
is. It is. It can be. It can be. If we approach ChatGPT with joy, that will be what is reflected. If we approach ChatGPT with judgment, that is what we will be reflected. And so as we're healing ourselves through getting to know ourselves through social media, it's all a reflection. And so I did have to move from judgment to joy, but I realized I wasn't downloading my own judgment. I was taking in the judgment of the outside world and trying to figure out what is it that it means to me. So it took a minute for me to know thyself as it relates to ChatGPT specifically. And so just know that that's a part of the journey too, is to know yourself and to know what you feel most comfortable with. And either way is fine, because everyone's on their journey. It's all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're going to look at a prompt.
So we're going to look at the final script as we look at, let's see, what was this? Oh, this was the 30-second affirmation video that we're going to create in CapCut. So we use this the same way. So creating the script for ChatGPT, this was the prompt. Here's my name. I'm going to try and create a video. The final script is what you see here. So again, it's a collaboration. Are you and your family ready to transform fear into freedom? So if you were to go to my Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, you would see this particular thing has already been out there in the world. And you'll hear me say, are you and your family ready to transform fear into freedom? So this is the script that I recorded inside of ChatGPT. Now, remember, if I want to create 31 30-second prompts here, now this is different than the 15-second without my voice. These are a little bit more elaborate. So just know that you can, go into ChatGPT, write your script, and bring it now into CapCut. So this isn't for everyone. So let me preface this by saying that the CapCut on the phone that I learned how to use is much more intuitive and much faster and much easier to use than the computer version. Now, having said that, if this is something that interests you, I would encourage you to go to CapCut, look at the YouTube videos of how to use phone, look at the YouTube videos, how to use your laptop, however you want to do it. This is what works best for me. I can do this on the fly, waiting at an appointment or whatever. So the first thing you do to make these videos go quickly and still have fun is you do script to video. So you notice I created the script. right? You hit number 2, write your own script. You then go to number 3, where I copied the script I just showed you inside of CapCut. And from here, we'll go to the next slide. And what happens is now CapCut, in its AI-ness, if you will, generates, takes a second, but it generates now an entire video presentation of that script. So now you've got videos related to the text. You've got an AI bot that's reading it. You've got captions and you've got music. Now, the thing that was most valuable to me is all of the video is already set in timing to the script. So that saves me a lot of time. The only thing I have to do is step number 6. If I don't like that video in that particular part of the script reading, I just changed the video. And they have a vast library that you can use. And the library that I use, if you'll go to the next slide, Timmy, is anything related to families. So I can just put families in and they'll give me these beautiful videos, and I just replace the video that was created and I replace it with one I prefer. Very simple to do. The next thing I do is I delete the narration, I delete the captions, and I delete the music, because what I do next is I put my own music in to make sure I don't have any wiggle around licensing. I record myself. It's the perfect timing of those videos. I record that 30-second talk. Then, so there's the recording of your voice. Hello. Would you like to transform fear into freedom? Awesome. So now it's my voice with my music. And then I just ask it to create the captions. And within I would say it takes me, for these kind of videos, it'll take me 5 to 7 minutes from the time the script's created to create this reel on CapCut. And what I do when I'm in the flow of this is I create sometimes I get a little tired after the 10th or 11th or 12th one. I'm like, okay, because it's a phone and it's small, and you're like, I need a snack. I need some Cheetos or something. And so you take a minute and you take a break from that. And then you may go and do the Canva, 15 more of the Canva. But this is what I mean by batches, once you get in a flow. So this is how, and then you don't forget to export. So you export from CapCut onto your computer, and it's that file that goes into your social media scheduling platform. So these reels are for me. Now, please remember, it took me a while to learn how to do this quickly. But once I did learn how to do it quickly, now I really do it quickly. So you will have to spend some time teaching yourself, practicing, figuring out what you like, what you don't like. Again, know thyself. But I will tell you that this particular strategy for the vision that I am creating in the world, which I can see it in my mind that this has already happened, that childhood adversity is no longer a way of life. And we're just trying to lift humanity's vibration into that reality. So these particular tools very simply, very quickly help me plant these kinds of seeds into what is the noise and the dissonance of social media now. And I'm having a great time doing it. So my hope for you is that you can see how you can organize things and navigate things in a joyful way, so that once you're in the flow of creativity, you're creating in the flow, just like an artist or an athlete gets into the flow, into the zone. That's really all we're doing. We're getting into the zone of our divine creativity and intuition and inspiration and imagination. And this is something that we may have had a limited connection to because of the echoes of our own life's journey. But what I want you to know is that this expression of the art of joyful marketing is an expression of your hero's journey and how you have been able to navigate the know thyself from fear to freedom. And when you're in this freedom, there is no stopping your mission. Not now, not ever. So that's what makes it so powerful. The tools are there, and I love that they're there. But remember, you are the creator. And so you're just pulling all these beautiful tools together that make sense to you. And then you're just bringing it out into the world. And I'm sure there's more powerful moments of joy than that, but I got to tell you, can you feel it in me that I just love love the creativity, and the technology was giving me a heart attack. But with Simplify One Thing, I realized once I became heart-centered, could create my own strategy. And this is what felt good to me. It really was honoring who I am fundamentally. And so if you are struggling with the joy to create social media, what I will say to you then is you just honor time to develop your own vision, your own strategy, your own way of being with the technology. And you'll begin to notice when you shift into joy that you'll notice all of this coming together for you in a way that creates more momentum and more ideas. And so it is my joy to bring this to you and to say thank you for the opportunity to share this particular dance and how it's all come together for me in such a, well, in some ways in such a short period of time, but it's been a lifetime of having this dream. And now for it to be at this point so far, it is beyond my wildest imagination.
Woohoo! It makes my heart happy. Seeing you like that makes my heart happy. Dr. Kelly, thank you so much. I know that it was a lot, but I am so excited that you went through all of your entire process and how you do it, and how we can also stay within our joy as we're creating content and have collaborative efforts with ChatGPT to bring forth our message and have it reach the right audience at the right time in an efficient way. I'm so glad that this is recorded and people can go back and watch and replay the steps. I'm going to share the last slide that you put together for us, where you're also sharing how to connect with you. Check out your website, which is onesacredfamily.com. I'm also going to show that at the bottom over here. If anybody wants to check out what Dr. Kelly is doing, please connect with her on Facebook, Instagram, and definitely subscribe to her YouTube channel. You are going to see all of the things Dr. Kelly has gone over in action at each of these platforms, right? So everything that she's talked about, she is putting that into practice on all of these platforms. So you can also see it from the other side to see how beautifully it's all working. Dr. Kelly, I really want to thank you for your time and for being so gracious in sharing your process with us. This has been fantastic. I do have a few questions. It is tradition that when I have guests on my live streams that I put them on the spot and we do a little bit of a rapid fire round of questions. Is that all right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like I was not forewarned about this, but I'm going to go with it. Okay. Tell us, what's your favorite food?
Mexican.
Oh my gosh, me too. So I was born and raised in Pakistan, so I think Pakistani food would be my all-time favorite. But after that, after Pakistani food, I also love Mexican food. If I'm ever not feeling like myself, a plate of nachos could bring me back to life. So I love it. Okay, what is your favorite vacation spot?
Cancun, Mexico, which is where I'm headed next week.
Take me with you. That sounds so good. Okay. Can you share one of the memories when you think about it, it brings you joy, sheer joy, whether it be from the recent past or from your childhood or any time in your lifetime that brings you a lot of joy?
Yeah, the hunt for joy was one of the first things I needed to do as someone who grew up in a lot of heavy energy. I didn't know what brought me joy. So I decided to get one of those kits where you get caterpillars in the mail and you create butterflies. And I'd never done that before. And so I didn't know what the feeling of joy was. And so the very first 5 caterpillars that I created, all of them did live. And as I was putting my finger in to let them fly, the very first caterpillar, I call her Penelope, she wouldn't get off my finger. And I'm sitting there with her and she's looking right at me and she was just so beautiful. And she was shivering and I could feel a sense of anxiety. And it's like, wait a minute, wasn't I a caterpillar a minute ago. And what am I supposed to do? What are these wings? Like I could just really feel that she had transformed, but she didn't know quite what to do. So she stayed on my finger for 5 minutes. I took a bunch of pictures. I sat with her and I said, well, whenever you're ready. And when she lifted off my finger, that's the feeling of joy. And so now that I know what it feels like in my body, I thank Penelope for bringing me my first sense of joy as an adult at age 57, because I didn't really know what brought me joy. And now I grow caterpillar, or have caterpillars come every year, and I love on them, and they become butterflies, and I sit with them and I see them fly away. And it's just a reminder for me that we're always transforming. And so that for me that brought my body back into a state of joy that I could feel subtly from head to toe. And I love butterflies, but I didn't understand how connected I could be to another beautiful being as that very first butterfly.
Wow. So I want to ask you, what made you say yes to my Dream Believe Launch Mastermind?
Well, I had a dream. I had a dream that there would be someone coming into my field of awareness that would help to get the vision into the world faster with more joy. And so I was in Michelle Cunningham, and still in Michelle Cunningham's group, but was introduced to you through that process. But once I first saw you and heard your voice, my body lit up. So I knew intuitively that this was the next step on my path. And so it was an intuitive understanding that you and I would always be walking the journey together, and that we would be bringing the message together into the world. And so what I would say was, it was a combination of staying centered on what is the next step, feeling my way along, and then just having the courage, even with all this technology, to trust, which is something that I've had to learn again as an adult, to trust that you and your team and those within the container that we're in would keep me safe and secure, and would help me build strength and a feeling of sovereignty, which is something I'm still learning how to do. And so that is how I came to be a part of the group that I'm in right now. And the synchronicities are off the chart. The miracles, the magic that is happening within this group cannot be explained, other than to say it was meant to be. And so it really was just going back into my heart, saying and trusting that you and your team and this journey was the next part to bring the vision to life.
Dr. Kelly, every single word that you have said has resonated with me so much, because I pretty much make decisions based on intuition also. It's the feeling, right? It's the feeling, it's the intuition that you get that this is the right time, this is the right person, this is the right program, or it's not. And I feel like, we spend so much time creating content and all of that. And I feel like, if we just show up so super authentically as ourselves, I think that is what attracts the right people to us. And thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so we're gonna have a little fun. What is one of your pet peeves?
I think for me, a pet peeve is when someone is saying something, but they mean something else. And so as an empath, when someone is speaking to me, but I know that they don't authentically mean what they're saying, but just aren't conscious of that because they've been programmed and conditioned to show up in a different way than who they truly are. It's not a pet peeve per se. It's just I have an understanding that they're in a different part of the pet peeves. Yeah, I don't have a lot of those anymore. I think one of my pet peeves was my dogs, running right in front of me and I trip over them. It's like, can someone, call the dog so I'm not tripping on them all the time? But yeah, they like to be in my energy, and they're on me all the time. And I'm just of an age, like I want to keep my teeth and my hip, and so if everybody could just, follow alongside of me, but to get in front of me or jump on me is a little bit hard for me right now.
Oh my gosh, so fun. Thank you so much. Okay. I have thoroughly enjoyed our time together. What do you want to leave us with? I'm also going to share your link for people to check out Hunt for Joy, which is your 7-day challenge. If you want to talk about that and any other things you want to share before we leave, please do so.
Well, I'd like to encourage anyone who is in the world right now. What I discovered is that within every traumatized family lies a hidden power, a sacred potential waiting to be remembered and awakened. And so when you're helping families understand that they're living in fear and they think it's normal, they're puzzled by the fact that I say you're in survival mode. They're like, it's just normal, right? So this is where the Hunt for Joy came from. It was because of my own personal professional experience with helping my own family transform, generations of my family transform fear into freedom. So this Hunt for Joy, very simply, is a guide for 7 days. You put it on your fridge. It's look to the stars. You include very intentionally stillness, thankfulness, affirmation, reflection, showing up for yourself and your family. You slow the momentum of the rip and run, the overwhelm down enough to begin to notice that you are the healers you have been looking for. You have within you a way to heal yourself and your family in every moment of life.
I absolutely love that. So please don't miss out. Check it out at onesacredfamily.com/huntforjoy. Dr. Kelly, thank you so much for being a blessing to my life. It is such a joy working with you, getting to know you, and I love you with my whole heart, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Timmy. You're my soul sister. Super excited to see what comes next. So thank you for inviting me to be here with you today.
My pleasure. And if anybody wants to connect with Dr. Kelly, you have her link. If you want to connect with me, please check out my YouTube channel or on anywhere on social media. If you look up Simplify One Thing, you totally can. And I will also just leave my Black Friday special. So if you go to simplifyonething.com/Black Friday specials, you can also take a look at what we have going on. If you are interested in joining the mastermind, please do so. That's a great opportunity for you to get to really share your message with the world and learn all of the tech steps along the way. If you're interested in software, you can check out that as well. And we have some amazing virtual assistants that can also help you out. Okay. May peace and blessings be with you, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.